If Tua Tagovailoa stays healthy, how far can the Miami Dolphins go this year? Now, this is all speculation that Tua Tagovailoa can stay healthy for the whole entire regular season this year for Miami. If that happens, is Miami a serious threat once they make it to the playoffs? Now, I feel with a healthy Tua, the Dolphins probably are going to end up having one of the best records in the AFC, and they potentially could end up winning the division from the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins, when you look at this roster from a pure talent standpoint on paper, this is one of the best rosters in the whole entire NFL. You got the fastest offense in the NFL with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Chosen Anderson at wide receiver, Raheem Mostert, Devin A-Chain at running back. You only wonder if this offensive line is going to be able to improve this year. And if this offensive line can be average or above average, this Dolphins team is going to be really scary. And you're not going to want to see this team in the playoffs. With how great this defense is going to be with Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator, if Tua was healthy last year, the Miami Dolphins would have beaten the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round. Buffalo was being reckless with the football. Their defense was getting a little bit tired late in that game. Tua plays last year in that wild card round, loss against the Buffalo Bills. I think that ends up turning into a W for the Dolphins, and they knock out the Bills in the first round. So imagine how far this team can go this year with what they've brought in to improve this defense with Vic Fangio. His defenses have been implemented by half of the defensive coordinators currently employed right now, and there are a lot of defensive minds who come from under his coaching tree. The Dolphins' run game probably will need to improve, but I believe that it will. I don't think the Dolphins' run game is bad. I think that Mike McDaniel has a tendency to get a little bit one-sided with his play calling. I think he can become a little bit pass heavy at times. But the Miami Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy, this is a team that most definitely could look to challenge Kansas City, Cincinnati, and some of the top teams in the AFC. There's a reason why a lot of people are labeling the Miami Dolphins dark horse Super Bowl contenders, because they're a Super Bowl sleeper. This roster is mega talented. This is a top 5 roster that the Dolphins have going into this year. And it doesn't really matter how strong their schedule is or not, because they still are going to be able to beat the majority of teams that they play as long as Tua can stay healthy. That's the really big thing when it comes to Tua. Tua is a top 10 quarterback in my eyes. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He may not be the most athletic, but he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. And plus, he throws a fantastic deep ball. I see a lot of people on social media trying to make it seem like, oh, Tua isn't good throwing the football deep. Well, tell me why he was one of the most accurate deep ball throwers from the 2022 season last year. Not just that, but you see every time Tua throws a deep ball on social media, there's people trying to say it was underthrown. Tua Tagovailoa gets way too much hate for somebody who is a really good quarterback. He's not elite, but he is really good. He's a top 10 quarterback. I rank him 7th or 8th on my quarterback rankings. And if you can get him healthy going into the playoffs, the Dolphins have a great chance at being able to make it to the Super Bowl. This roster is good enough to compete with Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati. You can name any of the top teams in the NFL going into this year, and there's no way you can deny that the Miami Dolphins have a roster that is not even more talented or just as talented as said team. Their roster is just as good as the Philadelphia Eagles. The only thing the Dolphins have that the Eagles don't is a great offensive line. That's about it. So there is nothing that really separates the Dolphins from the top contenders in the NFL from how good they actually are. The Dolphins, if they can keep Tua upright all year and he can stay at 100% going into the postseason, this is a really dangerous team. And whoever you root for, If your team makes it to the playoffs this year, I don't think you want to see Miami, especially early. This team has a lot of speed. They got a lot of talent. They're going to be incredibly well coached. A healthy Tua Tagovailoa, you can damn near make the argument that the Miami Dolphins are going to make it out of the AFC. Yeah, the Jets are really good, but the Dolphins have a better roster than them. They're deep on defense. Same thing with offense. It's just that you don't know how either team's offensive line is going to perform. The Buffalo Bills, I think that the Dolphins have a better roster than them. And then you look at the New England Patriots. I mean, come on, man. Is there really a team in the AFC that is just far more talented than what the Miami Dolphins are going into this year? Because I don't think there is one. Kansas City is always up there because they got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But after that, who else do they have who you would take over anybody on the Miami Dolphins? If Tua can stay healthy, I think that this Dolphins team could very well make a lot of noise in the playoffs this year. I think they're going to have one of the best records in this conference. I don't think they're going to disappoint barring a major injury. A healthy Tua Tagovailoa makes the Dolphins legitimate Super Bowl contenders, and this team could go as far as the AFC Conference Championship or maybe the Super Bowl if he's able to stay healthy. Now, I'm not saying that's a lock. I'm not making the prediction, but I am telling you the ceiling of what the Dolphins can be this year if he can stay healthy at QB. This Dolphins team has plenty of talent. They got a lot of speed. They got really good coaches on their staff. This is a team that if Tua stays healthy, he has everything around him to lead this team to a potential Super Bowl.